Liam, without much joy, opened the door to the apartment and entered the darkness of the hallway. A persistent, disgusting smell of fumes, mixed with the stench of excrement, hit my nose. Lately, her precious hubby and his daddy had been getting so drunk that they just didn't think about the fact that some things adults do in the toilet. Where are you, Schlendra? Such an infection? It's already dark outside the window. Go quickly for half a liter, don't you see? Our pipes are on fire. You need to get drunk. Carter was greeted by the discontented, drunken voice of Carter's father-in-law as soon as she managed to cross the threshold. Her husband, Julian, was lying face down in an empty sauerkraut plate on the table. There was a stack on its side next to his nose. Liam shuddered with disgust at her drunken father-in-law and husband, at the apartment in which she did not have time to clean up after these two. There is no money for a bottle. All internally shrinking, trying to be firm, she replied to her father-in-law. What did you say, you bastard? The father-in-law moved threateningly towards his daughter-in-law. A bottle lying in the way fell under his feet and rattled loudly on the floor. Carter's eyes were empty and dull, like those of a frozen fish. I told you that there is no money. There is no money for vodka. The woman repeated loudly and clearly. How is it not? Julian suddenly tried to object with a slurred tongue. He only lifted his head slightly above the plate and immediately returned to his original position exhausted. The grandfather continued to menacingly step on his daughter-in-law. His fists were clenched and his face reflected a stupid drunken hatred. He approached his daughter-in-law and threateningly swung his fist at her. Oh, you bastard! Liam ducked so that the blow missed into the air and abruptly pushed the drunk away from her. He fell to the floor, fell on his back, and tried to get up, waving his disobedient arms and legs with all his might, like an inverted beetle waving its paws. Liam did not stop to see how this whole performance would end and jumped out the door. Everyone around her was in a hurry, running into the store on the way, buying something for dinner. And she was sitting alone on a bench in the courtyard, opposite her entrance, clutching an old, shabby bag. Liam looked longingly at her home, which once even seemed like her own. And now, her father-in-law and husband, who are in an eternal drunken stupor, have turned her life into a continuous nightmare. All the oxygen was cut off. She does not want to return to this house, and the thoughts of the upcoming weekend are terrifying and depressing. Has this house ever been home to me? Liam thought. Perhaps not. She married Julian for great love. He seemed to her to be a kind, decent guy, whose hands grew out of nowhere. Julian could nail, fix, and fasten all this, and age was pressing. While she was studying and building a career, she did not notice how she was already 30 with a ponytail, and she had no family, no children. You, Lyonchka, will follow me like a stone wall, Julian promised, hugging his bride. And Liam wasn't even bothered by the fact that Julian could show up on a date with her with a scent. Yes, I sipped it with my father before leaving, for courage. He answered the girl to her displeasure, and Liam calmed down. Well, the guy just loves me so much that he gets terribly worried every time before a date, she reassured herself, and then her mother and older sister Evelyn. Daughter, yes, this is not called worried. This is a real disrespect for you, for all of us. My mother was indignant when Julian and his father came to get acquainted with the bride's family being pretty much in pairs. And the future mother-in-law assured Liam's family, yes, no, they were just worried like that. They drink like all people, only on holidays. When Liam, having thoroughly quarreled with her mother and sister, still married Julian and moved in with her husband and his parents, she realized that holidays in this family happen quite often. At first, father and son drank on weekends, from Friday to Sunday. All weekend, Liam, her partner, and her mother-in-law stood at the stove so that two drunken men would have something to eat. You can't go without a snack. Otherwise, they will be completely drunk, her mother-in-law told her. And Liam had a strong feeling that Mrs. Jenkins believes that such a pastime is in the order of things. Then, Monday and the rest of the week gradually joined the weekends. Julian was kicked out of work for absenteeism, and Liam had to find herself another part-time job since the cleaner who cleaned their office quit. She then just forcibly snatched this vacancy for herself. Lyonchka, what are you missing? Don't you have a good salary? The human resources inspector was surprised. The father-in-law must be treated. Liam blurted out the first thing that came to mind. Liam tried to fight for her husband because she loved him. She tried to persuade him to move, to rent an apartment, but he always answered, "I can't leave my father and mother." In fact, as Liam has already realized, Julian was simply satisfied with such a life. Mrs. Jenkins died a year ago. Liam went to work, and when she returned, her mother-in-law was gone. And there were two drunk men sitting at the table who didn't even understand what had happened. Liam wanted to run away from them. The feeling of love for her husband had disappeared somewhere, but there's nowhere to run. She was ashamed in front of her mother and sister. After all, 4 years ago, she had a big fight with them when she was resolutely going to marry Julian. No, they called back, talked, shared the news. But Liam never told her family how she really lives, and she didn't visit them. Where am I going to go like this? Thought Liam, looking at her old, worn shoes, remnants of luxury from a previous life. Grandma, can you tell me where Relieva 17 is here? A young woman turned to her. Well, they already call me Grandma at the age of 35. Liam thought, that's what she's come to. She raised her head, and there was something familiar in the woman's voice. You can't see much at dusk, but the figure, the voice. Liam asked hesitantly and in surprise, "Evelyn, what are you doing?" The woman seemed taken aback by surprise and walked briskly towards Liam. "Liam, why are you sitting here? What happened?" "You know, my mom and I have been heartbroken about you for days. She calls me every day, asking me to find you. She says she has bad dreams, apparently not in vain." Evelyn looked at her sister attentively and with understanding. "I've never been here. Here, I found you," she continued. Then she sat down next to her and pulled Liam to her. "Well, tell me." Liam, how she broke through. She talked about how she lived these 4 years, how she didn't have time to think about herself, how she spent all her considerable salary to feed 2 drunken men who were not themselves. But today she suddenly decided to stop. Her patience had run out. "You know, Evelyn, I already wanted to call you. And how did you feel?" Liam cried, burying her face in her sister's shoulder. "That's it. Get ready. Let's go to my place. I'll just call a taxi now. Otherwise, it's already dark." "Evelyn, it's inconvenient for you. You have a family. I'd rather go to my mom." Liam cautiously objected to her sister, but Evelyn stubbornly frowned and shook her head. "No, come to me first. You can't go to your mom like that." "Yes, only Scarlett is from the family now, and even then my mother has today, and Asher has gone on a business trip for a week." My sister smiled, gently pushing Liam to a car with a burning inscription "Taxi" on the windshield. Liam remembered her tattered bag and worn-out old shoes, and that she looked like an old woman in general, and agreed with her sister. You can't scare Mom like that. When the ladies finally went to Evelyn's house, Liam noticed their reflection in the mirror in the hallway. Evelyn looked 10 years younger than Liam, although she was a year older than her. An unpleasant comparison, thought Liam. Evelyn woke her sister up early in the morning. "Get up, Sophia, we have a lot of things to do today," she said cheerfully, opening the curtains. "Oh, Evelyn, I've been sleeping peacefully for the first time in these 4 years. You're doing so well," Liam answered, stretching. "Come on, sister, let's have breakfast. Then we'll pick up clothes from my wardrobe for you for the first time." They were sitting at the table, having a quiet breakfast, remembering their childhood, laughing. Her heart was light and calm. After that, Evelyn rummaged in her closet and took out an elegant, tight-fitting dress for Liam, a fashionable black jacket in a men's style, a cropped cut, new shoes with small heels, and a leather handbag. "Here, try it on. You should feel good." She handed the things to her sister. "Is this all for me?" Liam was surprised. "Of course. You. Just hurry up. We still have to get to the beauty salon." 10 minutes later, Liam was spinning in front of the mirror, looking at herself in new clothes. Still, what a joy it is, a new thing, especially when you haven't bought anything for yourself for several years. Liam thought, looking at herself in the mirror with joy and delight, Of course, her complexion and hairstyle left much to be desired, but her eyes shone and a smile played on her lips. "Oh, Liam, awesome. What a beauty you are." Evelyn looked into the room and admired. Evelyn did not rush her sister in vain in the morning. They had to spend half a day in the salon, but the time spent was worth it. Liam did not recognize herself in the mirror. It was as if there hadn't been those terrible years spent with alcoholics who had drained all the strength out of her. "There you go. Now you can go to your mom," Mila summed up with satisfaction, having examined her sister from all sides. On the way, Liam stopped by for flowers, buying her mother's favorite chrysanthemums. Mom cried for a long time, unable to let her daughter out of her arms. "Liam, is it really possible? After all, my whole heart ached for you. I know that you will never say that you feel bad. Mom, it was bad. Very bad. And now I've left them, and it's all right. Can I stay with you for a while? My God. Daughter, what are you asking about? This is your home." Surprisingly, Liam felt happy. "This is literally like a mountain off my shoulders. You can live your life without serving a drunken husband and father-in-law." Having appeared at work, Liam first of all refused to work as a cleaner. "Has your father-in-law recovered?" they asked her in the personnel department. "Yes, I am cured completely and forever." Liam chuckled. Now she was happy to hurry home, running into the store to buy something for dinner. But hundreds of people do this every day, rush to their home, to children, families, parents, and do not even suspect how happy they are. Liam thought, buying the most ordinary products, cottage cheese, sour cream, kefir. And her mother was waiting at home with the usual questions. How was the day? How was the mood? A whole month passed like that. Liam had already gotten used to a normal life and thought that it would be like this forever. Today, the salary was transferred to the card, and she wanted to have a small dinner with her family. She, her mother, her sister, her husband, and daughter. Liam, smiling at the sunny day, came out of the office door, and she froze. Her Julian was standing in front of the door, waiting. He was pretty rumpled and drunk. He stood there, carefully peering into the faces of all those who passed by. Liam's heart turned cold. She clenched like a spring, internally preparing to fight back against him. And she went. But nothing happened. Julian did not recognize his wife. She walked past him with a fragrant cloud of new perfume. And Julian remained standing, peering into the faces of the women leaving the office. Liam breathed a sigh of relief. It's gone. Well, yes, he's waiting for an old woman in worn-out shoes. She glanced at her watch. I'll have time to come in and file for divorce. At my age, life is just beginning. An hour later, a happy and contented Liam was already choosing the most expensive wine in the supermarket. But of course, such a happy event should be celebrated. I'm sorry. Don't take it as an impertinence, but I can't resist paying you a compliment. You are a very beautiful woman, and very happy. I envy your husband, some admiring man said. Liam smiled a mysterious smile that Gioconda herself would have envied, and she went with her head held high. She still has everything ahead of her.